Megan O'Leary here with Reed Harris, the General Manager of the WEC. Reed, first of all, congratulations on the merger. How proud are you that the WEC is now totally merging with the UFC?
I'll tell you what, when we talked about it, the thing we talked about was, are our fighters ready? Is the lightweight division ready to go over to the UFC and compete at their level? And over the last 6 or 8 months, we've been saying, you know what, these guys are ready. These guys are as good as anybody out there. And so the fact that they're now going over to the UFC makes me really proud.
Now, speaking of your lightweights, are there any specific fights you'd like to see happen between the WEC fighters and the UFC fighters?
Well, the one fight that Dana gave me, which I was very excited about, was the winner of the Henderson-Pettis fight will fight Gray Maynard or Frankie Edgar, the winner of that fight, for the UFC title to unify the belts. That's a huge fight. I've talked to both Pettis and I've talked to Henderson, and both of those guys felt like it was a big fight before, and now it's absolutely taken on just a whole new meaning.
Right. Now, how do you think this merger will affect the fans? They're used to getting their fights for free all the time and seeing some of the best fights in the world. What do you think this new pay-per-view will add for the fans?
Well, I think that we added some fights on Versus for free. Spike's got a number of fights for free on their network, and with the expansion of the company, I think the fans will get plenty of what they want, which is free fights, and then also create some really dynamic matchups. And I think in the next year or so, we should have, some of the WC fighters either headlining or co-headlining those UFC cards. And I think you've been watching WC for a long time. You know these guys are going to go out there and bang, and they're very exciting and fast.
Do you see the WC fighters, when this merge does happen, stealing that Fight of the Night award pretty frequently?
I think that could happen. These guys are used to going out there and going full speed. I mean, one of the basketball guys at UNLV said that at WC was like fast break MMA. We're very quick. The guys don't run out of gas, and they're very dynamic. And we don't see a lot of laying around. And I think fans want to see that.
And finally, do you think that this is the best for the fighters themselves, the more exposure and the better pay, which they really do deserve for the same amount of training as those UFC fighters?
Absolutely. It's always about the fighters. Even from day one, the first show I ever did, I always made sure I had enough money to pay the fighters and take care of them. And in fact, when UFC came to buy us, one of the things they did was talk to the fighters and say, how are these guys at WC? And I don't think anybody had anything bad to say about us, because we came from a background where we were training with these guys, and my partner Scott Adams was fighting in the UFC, and so understood that side of the business. And I've always held on to that. The fighters are the most important thing in the business. They're the guys that go out there and lay it all on the line. And I'm really excited about them now going on to the biggest stage in the world, and making more money and having more visibility.
Well, congratulations on the merge and the big fight on Thursday. We look forward to talking to you later, Reed.
Thank you.
Thanks.